Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by these great sponsors. Axon started out of a passion for keeping agriculture moving. Imagine having 100 years of tire and wheel knowledge in your back pocket the next time you sell a piece of ag equipment. To find more or become an Axon dealer, please visit axontire.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Valley Transportation. Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. Call Parker at 800-657-4910 or go to valleytransinc.com for all your trucking needs. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours. This podcast is also brought to you by Ag Direct. No matter how you buy your ag equipment, from a dealer, auction, or a private party, Ag Direct can help you finance it. You can even apply online at agdirect.com. Learn more about your financing options at agdirect.com.
Moving higher in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving higher, time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving higher.
Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast, Markets with Chip Nellinger. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by Axon Tire, helping dealers move more iron for the past 100 years. For more information, go to axontire.com. Axon is giving away a free knife. If you're interested in getting a Alliance branded pocket knife, go to marketing@axontire.com and make sure you say that Moving Iron sent you, and they'll send that over to you. Just give them your details, and they'll put it in the mail, ship it over to you. Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. Call Parker at 800-657-4910 or go to valleytransinc.com for all your trucking needs. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours. And no matter how you buy ag equipment, from a dealer, auction, or a private party, Ag Direct can help you finance it. You can even apply online at agdirect.com. Learn more about your financing options at agdirect.com. Chip Nellinger is with Blue Reef Agri-Marketing out of Morton, Illinois, and she's nice enough to come on once a week to talk about what's going on in the market. So, Chip, how you doing this morning, man?
Hey, doing well, Casey. Trying to make sense of all this crazy time in the world and markets.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. You know, we're looking at the markets this morning, and wheat's already limit up. Things are just exploding off the chart. I was looking at some local markets here as we were going, and we're looking at across the scale $9.50 to $9.40 cash prices for wheat. We're looking at corn right now, right about $7 across the scale. Soybeans about $14.90 to $15 across the scale, with basis and everything figured into that. So I'll tell you what, man, this is one of those times, like you've talked about a million times on here, Chip. Knowing your plan, working your plan, and executing that plan when the time comes to do whatever it is, if it's an up market or a down market.
Absolutely. There's no better example of right now on why you need a plan, right? It's hard to know what to do. What's the next maneuver? How long is this war going to last? What's it going to mean? You got to have a plan. We've just averaged the highest spring price by about 80 cents that we've ever had for beans on crop insurance. Going to be the second highest ever for corn, which is at $5.90. That's a big part of the plan as well, and just crazy markets right now. Obviously, it's great from a production standpoint, right? You look out there, and everything, as far as you can see, is in wildly profitable territory. But what do you do about that? And, in the same breath, the perfect storm's built up. We might, definitely have lost the Black Sea for an indefinite amount of time. Have we lost the Ukraine spring crop, spring planting? So in the same breath, even though it's wildly profitable, you don't want to give too much up on the table. And so it's hard to know what to do in this environment.
Yep. One article I was reading this morning, I was getting ready for stuff here. It looks like China is buying some. They look like they've booked 5 cargoes of soybeans, and looks like maybe some corn as well. 10 cargoes of U.S. corn, and a lot of that has to do with what's going on in the Black Sea right now, in that area of Ukraine and Russia, where with the turmoil there. So, this is going to be one of those deals where not only is the supply chain going to be under some pressure because of what's coming out of that area, but you have an entire port area of the world, that's a pretty busy port area of the world, especially when it comes to commodities, that is just flat not going to have anything coming in and out of it.
Yeah, and that's, it's not only funds that are buying this. A lot of times you can give the excuse of, the funds are buying it, the funds are selling it. Yeah, they have been buying it, but surprisingly, a lot of this is commercials, right? So there's supposedly about 15 million tons of corn that has been purchased from Ukraine, but yet to be shipped. Well, obviously, that's not getting shipped out anytime soon. They've got port damage, they've got mines in some of their ports, and obviously a hot war going on right now in that area. And so end users that were counting on that corn from Ukraine and other materials, right? It's not just corn, it's all kinds of different raw materials, wheat, barley, sunflower oil, you name it. They're massive exporters of all of that stuff. And so now world end users have to scramble and say, if it's not coming from Ukraine, where's it coming? I got to go somewhere else. I can't wait. I need it. I got to buy it. And they're coming to the market. In a lot of cases, that's the futures market that they buy as a hedge in order, to lock that in. And then they, worry about where's this coming from. Where is it going to come from? Obviously, South America, if they can. Those premiums are rising for beans. They've had a drought situation. They kind of broke that drought here recently with some great rain. Their second crop corn still 3-4 months away from hitting the market. And so we're going to be one of the prime benefactors of any short run switching. It's going to come here to the United States for sure on corn, beans, any soy oil as a substitute for, missing sunflower oil and potentially wheat. And I think the wheat market shows it best as to what's going on. Limit up yesterday, expanded limit up overnight. What's that? $1.35 higher in basically 24 hours here in the wheat market as everyone scrambles to make adjustments.
Yep. I think that was one thing that caught the world off guard there a little bit when you look at what's happening there is I don't think people truly understood how much commodity market stuff came out of the Black Sea area, whether that's Russia, Ukraine, Turkey, wherever that might be. All those things are all so the amount of stuff that came out of there, like iron ore, like you talked about sunflower oil. They're one of the largest producers of sunflower oil to go to the veggie oil market across the world. I mean, so this is even if it ends tomorrow and things get they stop and everyone goes back to where they to their respective countries and everyone's back to the way it was. This is still a long way out from having any kind of clarity as to what the market's going to do and how it's going to react.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Estimations right now that I've heard is if the war stopped today, 45 to 60 days at a minimum before those ports are back open. That seems actually aggressive to me. All the people have left. They've scattered other parts of the world, all the workers over there, port workers, a lot of foreign workers, a lot of foreign companies that had operations there in the Black Sea. And, so it's going to be a long time. Yeah. I think the worst case scenario is have we, and we don't know this yet, have we lost any spring planting? Have we lost any acreage? Are going to be able to get their crop in the ground this spring? There's roads blown up, bridges blown up, railways blown up. Obviously planting a crop is not the first thing on their mind right now. Mm-hmm. And that's a ways out, but it's not that far out. And that would be the worst case scenario. And I think that's what the wheat market especially, is responding to. But you mentioned earlier, I didn't realize this either, and I don't have the list in front of me, but I saw a list of all the things, the rankings of Ukraine in not just agricultural products, but all kinds of different products. It is one of the richest countries in the world on, dozens of things. You mentioned iron ore, steel, just unbelievable amounts of mineral, deposits there, obviously agricultural products, industrial products. It's not just ag. I mean, the world is going to feel this pinch as long as this war goes on. And so let's hope that comes to a quick resolution. That's a whole different story, right? A little disappointing last night in the State of the Union. A lot of people have the plan. It's going to cause a little bit of a pain. You choke his oil exports off. He'll be in the ground with a hole in his head from his inner circle within 90 days. But we just don't seem to want to do that. We want to drive electric cars here and not pump more oil. So unfortunately, he gets the benefit of $114 crude oil,
Right.
to wage war with.
Electric cars are great, and I think that's a great part of our energy solution, 100%. Until you have the infrastructure to support, 30 million, 40 million, 100 million electric cars running around the countryside, you kind of have to rely on the old playbook until you get that built up. And what's going on right now in the oil sector is it's sad to say the least. I guess is the best way to put that. We still are one of the largest oil producing countries in the world, if not the largest oil producing country in the world by day, by the amount of barrels produced in a day. But when you look at like what you said, for us to ramp up and get to offset this 5 or 6 million barrels of oil a day that Russia produces, that they're not producing right now, and for us to get back online to go from 11 million barrels a day to 13 or 14 million barrels a day, which we can do, it's going to take us 6 to 9 months to make that happen from everything that I've read and seen. So to your point exactly, I mean, here we are, we got a guy that is waging war on a country, and he's still getting paid by people that he's for natural gas and those kind of things that are I don't know how you put it, man. I mean, it's just he's still pumping natural gas in Ukraine. You know what I mean? It's just it's crazy. It's the most
it's mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling. And and that's not just the United States. It's like the whole there's a whole small minority segment of the world that just lost their rocker. Yeah. I read that even as of Friday, this past Friday, that Germany had 6 nuclear reactors left.
Yep.
They were one of the biggest producer of nuclear energy. 3 of the 6 they took offline Friday, just as regularly scheduled. We're going to do with nuclear energy. I mean, it is mind-boggling. The world could fix this. I say easily. Yeah. It's an easy fix. It's a hard fix. But if you think back to World War II, some of the sacrifices that our parents and grandparents made, energy prices would shoot up in the short run, but we would fix this thing in Ukraine. The world would be a better place. It would change, in my mind, for the good, for a long time. We just, refuse to do it. Yeah. And I'm not saying it'd be easy, particularly for Europe. Yep. Their gas prices are going up, but I'm not a military strategist, but if I was going to do what Putin did, I probably would have done it about 3 months ago, going into winter, not coming out of winter. It would have caused, some more issues, potentially if it were 3 months earlier. But, again, I'm not a general.
Yeah. And that, the natural gas thing, that's another thing too. I mean, we've got these skyrocketing fertilizer prices. Natural gas is the primary component of anhydrous. So, I mean, you start looking at that and what they're doing it's just, I don't know. We do a whole podcast on just this topic. So it's,
I know I got on a tangent.
Yeah. So we'll save that for another day, but there's just plenty of opportunity there to, like you said, you just take the oil off the Swift account, or all the oil transactions off of Swift, and all of a sudden it's a whole different ball game. So
it would be. We'd have to turn our turn the thermostat down, drive a little bit less, throw a blanket on, extra blanket on at night. Yep. We'd get through it, because I truly believe if we banned his oil, if the world came together, banned his oil and his gas, 90 days.
Yep.
There's a new leadership regime. It may not be much better, but it sure would be different. And he'd be gone, and you wouldn't have to worry about him anymore, because he would be in a hole somewhere in Siberia.
Yep. And and that's a good point. But the sad part of that too is now you got China on the other side, and they'll say, yeah, whatever the world doesn't buy, we'll buy. So that's cool. And we'll take everything too. So it's a whole another podcast that we could do.
It is.
All right, let's jump down and talk about what's going on in the cash hog marketplace. Hog market still, man, they're seeing some great indexes there. Their things are climbing all across the board, whether it's cutouts or whether it's cash hogs going to market. So I guess as you look at that, Chip, what are your thoughts there with the hog market as we move forward?
Yeah, we had a correction that was probably much needed after a $30 straight up run in the hogs. We had a nice $7-8 correction. The market shot up higher yesterday. 270 higher in the Aprils, 335 higher in the June. Some news there over the weekend that China was set to or wanting to rapidly expand pork supplies. Supposedly out of their own stocks, but nonetheless, that's bullish, as they've been and continue to be small buyers in the past. They've been massive buyers of U.S. pork. They continue to be in there for small amounts, almost on a weekly basis of U.S. pork. So that was a good sign. And I think the other thing is we've talked about this. Even the cattle, kind of stabilized and traded higher yesterday. As corn and wheat and soy meal scream higher, eventually that will have to drag along the livestock market as well. And I think you're starting to see some of the effects of that as well, especially in the hog market.
Yeah. All right, let's jump over and talk about what's happening in the beef marketplace. There's still it's a slow reaction. You're starting to see some slowdown in that market. Obviously, with the price of oil, that's a good indicator as to what you see happening in the cattle complex. As the price of oil goes up, the price of cattle usually comes down. But as you look at the cattle market, what are your thoughts there?
Well, kind of similar to what we just talked about. The feeder market obviously has been pressured with these sharply higher corn prices that you've seen over the last week or two. Eventually, the live cattle market, the fat cattle market has stabilized. So that is one way to adjust to these higher feed costs. You put a little more margin back in the feeding side of it, with feeders going lower and the live cattle kind of stabilizing in here. I think the other thing is eventually, if corn keeps going, it will stabilize the feeders as well. And even, the last two times, 2008, 2012, that this happened, some massive rally in the grains, it just drags the whole livestock. Otherwise, margins compress too much, and you're forced with a lot of liquidation. So the market can't have that happen. Not that it won't happen to some extent, but at a certain level, even feeders will respond to higher corn prices by being drug higher. So, the cash market's holding together well. The box beef has broken pretty significantly over the last, say, month, 6 weeks. Seems like it's stabilized. Even though box beef broke and cash cattle rallied, there's still massive margins there, massive profitability for packers. I think things are in pretty good footing here. But obviously, we're sitting there, you add basis on, and, you're probably over $8 corn in the Southern Plains. And so this thing is not all roses from a livestock feeding perspective, especially.
Yeah. All right, Chip, good stuff as usual. Folks want to reach out to you and get more information about, what you're doing over there at Blue Reef and that plan, like we just talked about, we opened up with working that plan, understanding that plan, making adjustments to that plan, and moving forward with what the actionable items of that plan are. Wicked important right now. So, man, so as you take a look at, what's the best way folks to get a hold of you and what you're doing over there at Blue Reef?
Yeah, the best way is just call our office, and that number is 309-550-7213. Love to chat with you and just kind of give you our take on a few things you might want to keep at the top of your list here in this type of market environment.
Right on. Okay. Well, Chip, appreciate you being on the podcast, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Casey. It's always a pleasure, and it seems like every week we talk, it just gets crazier and crazier.
Yes, it does, for sure. So, I am Casey Seymour with Moving Iron Podcast. Make sure you check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This is where you find the latest editions of the Moving Iron Podcast. Also, go to MovingIronLLC.com. give that a check out. I just posted a new blog up there, and the blog's about taking a look at the planter market and kind of where it started out in 2012 and 2014 through the big purge, and then where we're at now, and kind of some of my reactions of the planter market moving forward. So check that out. It's a good read, and there's a lot of information in there that took me a while to find. So I think there's a good opportunity there to kind of, if you're looking at buying a planter or in the market of selling a planter, take a look at that and get my 2 cents there and go from there. So. Also, you can find all the information for the Moving Iron Summit coming up in Nashville, Tennessee. That's September 6th, 7th, and 8th. All the information is on the Moving Iron LLC website at MovingIronLLC.com. And you just go in there and sign up, and we'll get you registered, and we'll see you guys in September. So with that, I'm Casey Seymour with Chip Nellinger. Let's go move some iron, folks. Out. Axon Tire is going to have more tips, tricks, and client advice throughout the year, and in September at the Moving Iron Summit in Nashville. If you're looking to sign up for the event, please head over to MovingIronLLC.com. We hope to see you there. Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. Call Parker at 800-657-4910 or go to valleytransitinc.com for all of your trucking needs. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours. And no matter how you buy ag equipment from a dealer, auction, or a private party, AgDirect can help you finance it. You can even apply online at agdirect.com. Learn more about your financing options at agdirect.com.
Moving iron in the 21st century.